All right, welcome everyone to the LPC executive meeting that is taking place on Monday, August 7th, 2023 at 7 p.m. I will go ahead and call the meeting to order. No scotch ran out, so apologies. At 7:02 p.m. If the secretary can please take the roll when he's ready.
All right, we'll start with Mr. Malagon.
Present.
Present. Mr. Alvstad.
Present.
Mr. Edgar is present. Mr. Regier.
Here.
Mr. Butts.
Present.
Ms. Stump.
Present.
Mr. Ham. No. Mr. Alvarez.
Here.
And Mr. Brown, I think you said is not here.
Correct.
Ms. Hallisey.
I'm here.
Ms. Lepacek.
Here.
Mr. Lima.
Here.
Mr. Minoletti.
Here.
Mr. Nichols. I know Mr. Nichols was here. a moment.
Present.
And Mr. Strachan.
Present.
Mr. Jimenez. No, and Mr. Gorsh.
Here.
Okay, that
Okay.
completes the roll.
Perfect. So let's go ahead and we will seat Mr. Gorsh in Mr. Brown's stead. And if the vice chair will be so kind as to drop the Zoom link in the chat in the Discord. I just got a ping from Mr. Ham that he'd like to join on his phone, but he must be out and about. Perfect. So we'll go ahead and move on to the adoption of the agenda. I assume that everyone got a chance to take a look at it. I did send a draft. I did send a draft and a finalized version this morning, but nothing changed. Is everyone okay with the agenda?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. So I will go ahead and move to adopt the agenda as submitted. Actually, before we do that, give me just a quick minute here. So Mr. Ham just joined us at 7:04. And before we actually move forward, let's make sure that we have all of the guests accounted for before we adopt the agenda and then move to public comment. So I believe I see.
Mr. Chair, I don't need to send anyone the link then.
No, not anymore. It looks like
Okay.
he figured it out. Cool. And he is there. All right. So it looks like we have 1, 2, 3 guests present. So just make sure that we're all accounted for here. Cool. So we'll go ahead and move on to the adoption of the agenda. I will move to adopt the agenda as submitted. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Mr. Nichols. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Is there any objection to adopting the agenda as submitted? Hearing none, the motion passes. All right, so we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is public comment. 10 minutes, 2 minutes per comment. There are 3 members of the public here. Would anyone wish to make a comment? Going once. Going twice. All right, we will move on to the next item on the agenda. Man, if only the LNC meetings move that quickly with public comment. Usually we have to extend that. We'll have a lot of stuff to say to the LNC. All right. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the meeting minutes. The secretary did submit meeting minutes. There's some minor edits that were made. Those were sent out, I believe, over the weekend. I assume that everyone got a chance to look at them. They weren't. Well, I'll ask if anyone did not get a chance to look at the meeting minutes, the revised version that was sent over the weekend. Okay, to move things along, I will go ahead and move to adopt the meeting minutes as submitted by the secretary, the updated version, of course. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Stump. And again, this is for the last meeting, which happened July 20th, 2023. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we will move to a vote. Is there objection to approving the meeting minutes as submitted by the secretary? Hearing none, the motion passes and the meeting minutes for July 20th, 2023 are adopted. All right, first item on the agenda here, substantive item. So at the last meeting, I had to remove an XCOM member as a result of indecorous behavior and distracting behavior. It was very unfortunate, but so in accordance with procedure, I put this on the agenda to affirm the action from the previous meeting. I will say that I don't expect this to continue moving forward. I have spoken with the parliamentarian about this. I actually spoke with him this morning, Mr. Richard Brown. He suggested a change to the operating procedures manual to ensure that there is kind of a set course of action moving forward for indecorous behavior, technical difficulties, anything that might be distracting during a virtual meeting, since we do have a bulk of them as virtual meetings. So I have submitted something. I'll be workshopping something with the secretary and the vice chair that I will be submitting to Mr. Brown. He'll review it, make sure that it's above board and that it's good to go. We'll go ahead and take care of that at the August 24th meeting. But so again, this motion would be to affirm my action to remove Mr. Miniletti from the last meeting that we had. So I will go ahead and make that motion to affirm the chair's action from the previous meeting, which again is in regards to Mr. Miniletti's removal for indecorous and disruptive behavior. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Hallisey. Is there any discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Let's go ahead and do this as a roll call vote when the secretary is ready.
Okay, we'll start with Mr. Alvstad.
Aye.
I will vote yes. Mr. Regier,
Yes.
Mr. Butts,
Aye.
Ms. Stump,
Aye.
Mr. Ham,
Aye.
Mr. Alvarez,
Aye.
Mr. Brown is absent. Ms. Hallisey,
Aye.
Ms. Lepacek,
Yes.
Mr. Lima,
Abstain.
Mr. Miniletti,
No.
Mr. Nichols,
Aye.
Mr. Strachan,
Aye.
and Mr. Gorsh.
Yes.
Mr. Chair, the vote is 12 to 1 to 1 to 0.
The chair will vote aye to make it 13 to 1 to 1 to 0. The motion passes. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is discussion and motion on the appointment of the convention committee chair. So per our last meeting, and I think at least one meeting before then, we had to change some stuff in regards to convention. There's been some confusion since then. I've assured the membership everything is up and ready to go. But as Mr. Lima did mention before, he accepted his appointment by this executive committee to be the convention committee chair. He was very clear that he only wanted to do it if he could, run the show here in the North. Unfortunately, as events turned out, wasn't able to happen that way. Additionally, because of the date change, it's not even amenable to his schedule, so he wouldn't be at convention, hence his resignation. That's something that he shared, and that was shared on the public list. I believe it was shared with the XCOM and then the public list, but we all kind of knew that that was coming. I have two people that seem somewhat interested in taking on this appointment. No one's really sold on this yet. It might have to be a voluntold situation, as we're so fond of saying. But until then, we do need to have regular meetings and we need to have the convention committee. Hopefully we'll have someone by the 24th, but that is not guaranteed. So the contract has already been signed. We need to make sure that we have everything in line for speakers and that we're still moving the ball along. So I did say that in the event that Mr. Lima resigned, I would be happy to take on the role as interim chair for the convention committee until someone better comes along. It's not something that I wish to do. I've already done it, not a huge fan, but not to dissuade anyone from taking that role, just to be clear. Really fun, actually, it's the best. It was the best time of my life for anyone listening to this. Please do take in. I wasn't even chair, I was just a massive assistant on that. So to move things speedily along here, I will go ahead and move to have the executive committee appoint me as chair. I won't say interim, but I will just say I will happily resign if someone that is willing to take on this mantle and take this off my plate is willing to do it, because this is going to be a doozy. So I will move to have the executive committee appoint me as convention committee chair, given the vacancy at the moment. Is there a second?
Second.
I think Miss Halsey won that one. The vice chair was slow on the draw. Northerners for the win. All right. So seconded by Miss Halsey. Is there any discussion on this item?
I think it's interesting that they were racing to throw you under the bus, Adrian.
Who was racing?
Both of them were racing to throw you under the bus.
Oh, I see. Yeah, the vice chair can't get rid of me fast enough. Miss Halsey and I clearly have a northern love-hate relationship here, so that's what's going on. Is there any further discussion on this motion? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on to a vote. Is there any objection to my appointment as convention committee chair? Hearing none, the motion passes. I will just again reiterate for the record, there are a couple of people that are interested. They still want to see if this is something that they would be able/willing to do. And if that's the case, I will happily resign before the August 24th meeting, and we will appoint someone else in my stead. Awesome. So we'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the adoption of the newly revised program committee plank on medical freedom. This was something I believe I did mention I anticipated to happen at some point in time. So that I believe the author of that specific plank was Dr. Mary Beth Yuskavich on the program committee, and she had some very specific edits that she wanted to make. She did understand that it didn't flow as freely as she wanted it to initially. So we made some changes, as you guys will all remember. And now she has submitted a newly drafted program committee approved plank that she would like to have adopted in the one that we did, in the stead of the one that we did. So the secretary will put it on the screen now.
Can everyone see that?
Yeah,
Yes.
just from a cursory look, I don't think there's enough whereas.
Yes, it is lacking in the whereas department. Maybe we can make our peace with that, but I won't read the whole thing aloud. The changes were relatively small, and I do agree that it does flow a little bit better, and it is more in the spirit of that the author intended this to be done in. So I'll let the secretary scroll along little by little, and then we'll go ahead and move forward with a vote.
And that's the end. Okay.
Cool. So don't want to steal the whole show here. So now I will entertain, now that everyone has seen it. Mr. Lima's motion to adopt the newly revised program committee plank. Oh, Mr. Alvarez seems to have dropped off and it's not coming back in.
I second the motion.
Seconded by Mr. Nichols. Is there any further discussion on this program committee plank? I will assume that everyone read it. If not before, they did now. All right, we'll go ahead and move to a vote. Is there any objection to adopting the program committee plank as submitted by the program committee? The revised program committee plank. Hearing none, the motion passes. Making record time here, people. So we're going to go ahead and move on to new business. There are some things I just want to cover here, and then at the end, I will allow anyone that has any new business. I'll ask again if there's anything. So national membership numbers, those should be coming out officially within the next few days. I don't believe July was counted in the last count. We will be needing to make some calls and make sure that we stay above 10% of the national membership to retain our regional status. So I'd like for members to start thinking about that. The XCOM usually spearheads this. I'll be tagging in membership for this, but the XCOM generally spearheads this, at least it has in the past. And I think it's really important that we stay on top of it to maintain our regional status on the LNC. So if you are specifically interested, I don't want to voluntold people, but I will be spearheading this because this is, again, very important. If you are willing to make some phone calls, send some texts, send some emails, I'll be working on scripts that we can use to contact members, obviously not phone scripts, but, email, text stuff, and kind of go through the process. I did have that recruitment webinar that was hosted by the ASC. So I would, again, link to that for anyone that's a little bit apprehensive about how to approach this issue. And then I can just give a brief tutorial myself as to how I'll be approaching this. So I just wanted to keep that all in the back of your minds. I expect that official report to come out with the July numbers probably within the next few days, for DC for sure. On the note of convention, well, any questions about that? I guess I'll ask. Okay, and we have someone coming into the room. People will just bear with me here. I think it's still connecting. Will the person that just came in as JQ Public please identify themselves so that the secretary can note it on the record? Or you can message the secretary independently if you'd like. So JQ Public, please either put your name in the chat so it goes in the record, or feel free to unmute and give us your name for the record. Okay, so the convention website is up. Everyone should have gotten an email. There was a small typo, which, damn it, I hate those, but it happens. So I would encourage everybody to check out the website if you haven't already. Make sure you share amongst your affiliates, other LP members. We already have had quite a number of registrations. Some packages have already been purchased, which is good, but these prices are early bird. I will meet with the convention committee soon to determine when the early bird pricing will end. I suspect it'll be close to the end of or mid-September, as early as mid-September. Prices have gone up for things, so we've adjusted accordingly, but we are making it as cheap on the membership as we possibly can, while still saving face here and making sure that we're not losing any money. So please check out the convention website, make sure you register. I will just give a public service announcement here that if you are attending convention, but are not planning to purchase a package, there is still the free option. Business is something that you need to register for, or you don't have to register ahead of time, but it is highly encouraged that you do so. It makes credentialing committee's job significantly easier, credentials committee job significantly easier. So please do go and register. I expect that most XCOM members will be there. So at the very least do that. You will have to do it separately. Apparently Neon does not allow, you have to do the radio dial thing. So it's annoying. So I do apologize. If you buy a package, you do have to go back and then do the free option. But unfortunately, that's just the way that our system is set up. And I tried everything under the sun to change that, but it doesn't allow for it. If anyone has any feedback on the convention website or something is unclear, please reach out to convention committee or convention@ca.lp.org, or you can message me at chair@ca.lp.org, and I will make those adjustments. There were some questions already on Facebook. I believe I saw there was one member that was confused, but those things were pretty self-explanatory on the website. So more substantial things, perhaps, I'm always open to changing things and making things easier, but they're listed out pretty clearly. But if something really doesn't make sense to a bulk of you, please do let us know. Any questions or anything regarding the convention website? Fantastic. So quick reminder, I will be leaving for Washington, DC. I think I leave on Wednesday or Thursday, I forget. For the weekend meeting that happens the 19th through the 20th. I should be back by Monday, but I will be fairly unavailable during those days due to travel and then being in my own meeting. Those are 2-day meetings. So you guys get off pretty free, not scot-free, but pretty easily. And I did submit, so my deepest apologies. I finished the LNC Region 4 rep report last night. I thought I sent it, but it got stuck in my drafts for some reason. I didn't get to see it until this morning. I did submit it to you all for review. If there's something that you would like me to add, I can always send an amended version of that report. Otherwise, I will send the report as submitted. I will upload it to the Secretary's Google Drive, the LNC Secretary's Google Drive before that meeting. They are due, I believe, on the 9th. So if anyone has any sort of suggestions or changes that you would like me to make, amendments, whatever, additions, please do let me know, but I think it's pretty comprehensive. And a lot of it was covered in my chair's report, so that kind of made the whole thing a little bit easier, but I did add some things in there. So of course, feel free to let me know if anything like that comes up. Any questions or comments on the LNC meeting? And Mr. Richard Brown is joining us as we're wrapping up here. So I know he had his meeting earlier, but okay, so nothing on that. So last item on the agenda here is, second to last item on the agenda is the just meeting reminder. We do have some stuff that we need to cover and some stuff that I've been waiting on, but we will have that taken care of at our August 24th meeting. I believe it is at 7 p.m. Let me just double check. Really quickly. Yes, it is August 24th. Oh, I don't have, why is the time not saved? It should be at 7 p.m. But just remember, it is August 24th, so that's a Thursday, so that will be in just over 2 weeks. That shouldn't be a particularly long meeting, hour, maybe an hour and a half, depending on how some of the conversation revolving some of the topics goes. But just everyone remember about that. Any questions on any of the business, or would anyone like to bring new business to the table? All right, cool, easy. We will go ahead and move on to action items. I don't believe that there are any, but someone can correct me if I'm wrong. No. Cool, and Miss Halsey just registered, nice. And she wants to, oh, I should have mentioned that too. I will say the hotel rate booking link is up and the whole bit on the website. So now is the time. I will make it clear to the XCOM members that we, again, as has been done in the past, there's limited availability for these special rate rooms. I can always request that they bump it up, but there's no guarantee that once they're filled, they will be able to accommodate us. So when we're not counting speakers, give or take, we're talking about 90-ish rooms available, a little bit over 90, somewhere in that range. So I would strongly encourage you to book and register now. You can always later cancel. You don't have to, for those of you that are unaware, you never pay upfront for hotel room reservations. You do just have that there. Should you not be able to go, I think as long as you cancel within 2 weeks or something like that, you do get a full refund. But thank you for reminding me, Ms. Halsey. All right, so is there any new business or any additional new business that anyone would like to bring up? All right, hearing none, there are no action items that I'm aware of. We'll move to the last item on the agenda, which is always Mr. Lima's favorite, if you'd like to lead us or make that motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion has been made to adjourn by Mr. Lima. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by, I heard Mr. Alvarez, although I did see a thumbs up from Mr. Strachan, but we'll give it to Mr. Alvarez there. And this is a non-debatable motion. Is there any objection to adjournment? Hearing none, the meeting is adjourned at 7:26 p.m. Thank you all for joining.